The invisible remains hidden only until our inner eyes are opened. Have you ever imagined there might be a secret key to understanding the deepest mysteries of the universe? And what if, in the distant 19th century, a woman had uncovered secrets that humanity's greatest minds had sought for millennia? That woman was Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, also known as Madame Blavatsky, and her journey was far from that of a mere scholar. It was the path of a true spiritual revolutionary who challenged the conventional thinking of her time. Born in Ekaterinoslav, Ukraine in 1831, Helena Blavatsky came from an aristocratic family and, from an early age, showed an inquisitive mind open to matters beyond ordinary reach. In an era when women rarely left the comfort of home, she became an intrepid traveler, exploring remote regions and defying social conventions that often curtailed women's freedom. Fluent in multiple languages, she spoke Russian, French, German, and English, among others, and gifted with extraordinary psychic abilities, Blavatsky ventured into the most secretive sanctuaries of Tibet, delved into Indian esotericism by studying with Hindu masters in the Himalayan mountains, and explored the hidden enigmas of ancient Egypt, where many civilizations seem to have left traces of eternal wisdom. What she brought back from these journeys were not material souvenirs, but a legacy brimming with ancestral knowledge lost in the sands of time. A revolutionary synthesis she called theosophy. In Greek, theosophy means divine wisdom, and Blavatsky used this term to describe a body of teachings that transcends cultural boundaries, religious dogmas, and limiting worldviews. Essentially, theosophy aims to unify the spiritual truths that have existed in the great traditions of both East and West, bringing to light mysteries long obscured by veils of misunderstanding and prejudice. Today, I will share with you 5 transformative principles from Blavatsky's teachings which, when put into practice, can literally reconstruct your perception of reality and open portals to levels of consciousness you may not even imagine exist. These are not abstract concepts for passive contemplation. They are practical keys to unlock your dormant potential. It's worth remembering that Helena Blavatsky, alongside figures like Henry Steele Olcott and William Quan Judge, founded the Theosophical Society in 1875 in New York City. It was a giant step toward bringing together the world's mystical wisdom into a single path. The idea was simple but powerful: unite science, philosophy, and spirituality to help humanity grow, both inwardly and outwardly. Principle 1: Universal interconnection. The first principle is revolutionary. Everything in the universe is intrinsically connected through an invisible web of energy and consciousness. Every atom, every thought, every being is part of a cosmic tapestry where nothing exists in isolation. Blavatsky described the cosmos as a living, pulsating organism in which each part affects the whole. The universe is worked and guided from within outwards, she wrote in her monumental work, The Secret Doctrine. This perspective may seem metaphysical, but it resonates with various scientific research and theories, especially in quantum physics, which has discussed concepts like entanglement and non-locality for decades. Think about it. Every thought you have creates energetic ripples that spread through the cosmos, just as a stone thrown into a lake forms concentric circles that extend to the shore. Every decision you make affects not only your own life, but reverberates across this universal web. This isn't just abstract philosophy. Modern science is beginning to confirm that the boundary between observer and observed isn't as solid as once believed. Physicist Erwin Schrödinger, for instance, emphasized that consciousness and matter are not separate entities, but expressions of a single reality. Blavatsky's advanced vision seemed to anticipate these scientific insights. A few years ago, I experienced a practical example of this power of interconnection. During a period of financial difficulty, I decided to help a dear friend with the few resources I had left. It was almost an instinctive act of compassion, without any expectation of return. 3 days later, I received an unexpected job offer that completely resolved my situation. Coincidence? The theosophical wisdom would say it was the cosmic web at work. a natural readjustment in the universal flow of energy, responding to the vibration I had emitted by doing good. We can integrate this awareness of unity into our daily routines. Upon waking up in the morning, consider how your actions impact not only your day, but also your surroundings and the people around you. If you live in a big city, you might think your small act of recycling plastic or saving water is insignificant. Yet according to Blavatsky, each conscious choice propagates as a wave of harmony, promoting balance in the larger ecosystem. Imagine how different the world would be if each individual saw themselves as part of a living whole, like a functional cell in a vast cosmic body. How would your life change if you started living with the awareness of belonging to this universal network, instead of feeling isolated and separate? And what if every action you took was done with the understanding that it affects the entire whole? This reflection can transform how you deal with personal relationships, professional choices, and even everyday challenges. There is no rigid boundary between you and the world. Everything is in constant communication and exchange of energy. Principle 2, the law of karma. The second principle, the law of karma, is often misunderstood as mere punishment or reward for good or bad deeds. What Blavatsky revealed, based on Eastern traditions and her own spiritual investigations, is far more profound and sophisticated. Karma is a cosmic law of balance and harmony. It's not an external judge handing out penalties, but a natural process of energetic adjustment that maintains the universe's equilibrium. It's like a spiritual bank account. Every act of generosity is a deposit. Every act of stinginess or cruelty is a withdrawal that, at some point, will need balancing. Blavatsky explains that karma operates on multiple levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and across vast periods of time, encompassing various incarnations. According to the Secret Doctrine and other theosophical texts, this cycle of action and reaction does not occur to punish us, but rather to provide exactly the conditions we need to learn and evolve. It is the perfect manifestation of cosmic justice, where each being receives the experiences necessary for its growth. I once knew a successful businessman who lived in constant anxiety and ruthless competition, amassing wealth at the expense of others' well-being. He reached the point of a nervous breakdown and, in seeking answers, began to study karmic principles taught by various philosophies, including Blavatsky's theosophical thought. From that point on, he radically changed his business approach. He started practicing generosity, created well-being programs for his employees, and established a foundation for humanitarian causes. Within 2 years, he not only recovered his mental health, but saw his business expand. The paradox, he told me, is that when I stopped trying to extract value from the world and began to add value, the universe responded with abundance. The secret Blavatsky revealed is that you can consciously work with karma rather than be dragged by it. You can deliberately create positive causes today that will bloom into a future of prosperity and balance for yourself and others. As she wrote, karma is not fatality. It is the law of readjustment that ever tends to restore disturbed equilibrium in the universal harmony. This principle leads us to rethink how we respond to difficult situations. Often we let ourselves be consumed by feelings of revolt, victimhood, or injustice. Through the karmic lens, each challenge can be seen as an opportunity for rebalancing or learning. Instead of drowning in complaints, we can choose to see crises as bridges toward greater wisdom and emotional maturity. It is up to us to accept these lessons and make the necessary adjustments so that in the future we can experience a cycle of more harmonious consequences. Principle 3, the cycle of reincarnation. Have you ever had that strange feeling of meeting someone for the first time yet feeling as if you've known each other for centuries? Or visiting a new place and experiencing such a powerful déjà vu that it feels like you're returning rather than arriving? According to Blavatsky, these perceptions may be clues to something greater: reincarnation. In theosophy, reincarnation is neither a religious dogma to be accepted unquestioningly nor a punishment for past mistakes. It is rather a cosmic gift. a natural process that allows our consciousness to evolve through multiple experiences in different bodies, cultures, and circumstances. Each incarnation would be like a play in which the soul, or individuality in the theosophical term, performs a particular role. At the end of the show, the personality dissolves, but the essential learning is absorbed by the individuality, which continues its journey into new scenarios and challenges. Blavatsky makes it clear that we should not confuse this view with the popular simplification of reincarnation. In her complex theosophical understanding, the process includes intermediate states, such as devachan, a post-death state of consciousness, where souls regroup and prepare for a new incarnation. In this context, the lessons required for spiritual progress are integrated on a deep level. The end of one life is not the end of the journey, but merely the transition to a new chapter. Thus, the relationships we build, the talents we develop, and the lessons we learn are never lost. All of it integrates into our deeper self. This changes drastically how we deal with death, which ceases to be seen as a final interruption and becomes just another phase of a continuous flow. Moreover, when we accept reincarnation as a reality, our sense of responsibility for our actions grows, as we realize there is no way to escape the consequences. They may manifest in our current life or in a future one. Think of a persistent challenge you face today, a difficult relationship, a creative block, or a seemingly inexplicable phobia. What if this obstacle isn't mere chance, but a specific lesson your soul chose to evolve? A chance to overcome a limiting pattern you may have carried for many lifetimes? From this perspective, every existential impasse is not a punishment, but a doorway to self-knowledge, a path leading to spiritual maturity. Principle 4, the wisdom of ancient traditions. The fourth principle is among the most revolutionary and potentially unifying. All the world's great spiritual traditions are branches of a single tree of knowledge, culturally diverse expressions of the same primordial wisdom. Blavatsky did not found a new religion. She claimed to have rediscovered the common source of them all, which she called the secret doctrine or wisdom religion. In her travels through remote regions of Tibet, Indian forests, and Egyptian temples, she compiled and compared teachings that might initially seem unconnected. However, she noticed profound parallels that transcend linguistic and cultural barriers. The Hindu concept of Atman echoes the Christian higher self. The Chinese Tao resonates with the Kabbalistic Ein Sof. The Buddhist mandala reflects the same organizing principle found in the rose windows of Gothic cathedrals. These are not mere coincidences, they are different languages describing the same transcendental reality. According to Blavatsky, these coincidences form a universal map of spiritual laws that would govern not only our planet, but the entire cosmos. This means that the religious wars and sectarian conflicts that have stained human history are based on a fundamental misunderstanding. Different paths, the same mountain; different maps, the same territory. Each tradition contains practices, rites, and symbols that, when understood at their core, lead to the same center of universal wisdom. For theosophy, humanity's spiritual evolution depends on recognizing this unity behind the diverse appearances, rather than fueling divisions and sectarianism. What if, instead of clinging dogmatically to a single worldview, you sought the universal wisdom present in all of them, explored the mysteries of the Kabbalah while also delving into Buddhist teachings, balancing them with Sufi insights and the wisdom of the Hindu Vedas? Blavatsky suggests this comparative approach is like unlocking multiple doors to a deeper and more holistic understanding of spiritual reality. It's not a superficial syncretism, but an opportunity to see the single root that nourishes the many spiritual blossoms. By putting these ideas into practice, the Theosophical Society drew thinkers and mystics from around the world. It was one of the first institutions to foster genuine dialogue among religions, philosophy, and science, encouraging free questioning unhampered by dogma. This open spirit changed the lives of many adherents and scholars who discovered new bridges between seemingly opposing beliefs. Principle 5. Spiritual evolution. The fifth and final principle is the most empowering. You possess latent potentials waiting to be awakened. Extraordinary abilities that surpass the limitations of ordinary humanity are encoded in your spiritual DNA, just waiting for the right conditions to manifest. For Blavatsky, evolution does not stop at the biological level. Human consciousness is in constant expansion, moving from instinct to intellect, from intellect to intuition, and from intuition to cosmic consciousness. Each of us carries seeds of extraordinary capacities: extrasensory perception, advanced intuition, expanded states of consciousness, universal compassion that transcends the ego. It's like a caterpillar unaware it is destined to become a butterfly. The transformation process is already coded in its DNA, merely awaiting the right conditions to activate. Similarly, your higher potentials are dormant, waiting for specific practices to nurture their emergence. Blavatsky taught that humanity's great spiritual teachers, Buddha, Christ, Krishna, were not supernatural beings, but human beings who fully realize this evolutionary potential that we all share. They are not exceptions, but examples of what we can become. You don't need to wait eons to evolve. You can accelerate your own development through practices that awaken these inner seeds. Conscious meditation, for example, expands your internal and external perception, helping to dissolve layers of mental conditioning. Contemplative study, on the other hand, illuminates the mind with new paradigms and questions limiting beliefs. And altruistic service purifies the heart, strengthening empathy and compassion, indispensable for any real advancement on the evolutionary scale. Helping others is the repayment of a debt to humanity, Blavatsky said, reinforcing that universal brotherhood is not an abstract ideal, but a daily practice. Each act of kindness triggers a quantum leap in consciousness as it helps break the chains of the ego, enlarging one's personal identity to encompass the collective. Thus, to evolve spiritually and morally is not only to benefit oneself, but to elevate the entire web of life. These 5 principles, universal interconnection, the law of karma, the cycle of reincarnation, the wisdom of ancient traditions, and spiritual evolution, are not merely theories for contemplation. They are practical tools, operative keys to transform your experience of reality. Most fascinating of all is that Blavatsky's teachings impose nothing as dogma or absolute truth. They are invitations to experimentation, personal verification, and testing in the forge of one's own life. Blavatsky stated, echoing Eastern traditions such as that of the historical Buddha, "Do not believe anything just because you have heard it. Do not believe in traditions simply because they have been handed down through many generations. Do not believe in anything because it is spoken and rumored by many. Do not believe simply because the written statement of some wise ancient is shown to you. Do not believe in conjectures. Do not believe as truth something you yourself have imagined, thinking that God has inspired you. Do not believe merely in the authority of your teachers and elders. After observation and analysis, when something agrees with reason and leads to the well-being and benefit of all, accept it and live by it." This spirit of inquiry is essential for the spiritual seeker, so as not to get lost in illusions or sectarianism. Theosophy, therefore, supports the scientific method and logical reasoning as much as it values intuition and mystical experiences. It is a bridge between science and religion, allowing both to enrich each other without prejudice or fanaticism. As Blavatsky revealed in her moments of greatest clarity, the universe is not a collection of objects, but a communion of subjects. Your spiritual journey is not only about discovering the world, it is about discovering who you really are. And perhaps, in the end, you will realize that these two discoveries are woven together, revealing that the universe and the human being are expressions of the same fundamental consciousness. Beyond the direct lessons, Helena Blavatsky left a timeless invitation to research and dialogue. For her, self-knowledge never ends, for every question answered generates new ones, inviting us to dive ever deeper into the mystery we call life. If you feel inspired by these ideas, seek out The Secret Doctrine or Isis Unveiled, her monumental works where Blavatsky develops many of these points in extensive detail. Study, compare, practice, and above all, keep alive the investigative spirit she so strongly defended. To grasp the greatness of Helena Blavatsky's legacy, it's important to place her work and influence in a specific historical context, the late 19th century. At that time, the Industrial Revolution was radically transforming societies, bringing new materialistic values and a dizzying pace of technological progress. Traditional religion felt pressured by the scientific discoveries of Charles Darwin and other pioneers, which shed light on evolutionary theories that shocked Christian orthodoxy. On the other hand, Eastern philosophies were beginning to be disseminated more widely in the West, arousing unprecedented curiosity. Perhaps Blavatsky's greatest contribution is precisely what pervades this entire text: the call for each person to have their own direct experience. Studying sacred books, comparing scriptures, researching academic texts, and scientific theories. All of this is valid and enriching. However, true understanding flowers when we are willing to live these principles ourselves. If she were here today, she would probably tell you not to blindly believe what you just read, but to test each principle in your daily reality. Imagine accepting the challenge to investigate universal interconnection. Over the course of a week, try observing how your emotional states affect the people around you. Notice whether your anger generates irritability in others, or whether your joy permeates an entire environment. Record it, analyze it, draw your conclusions. Do the same with the law of karma. Whenever possible, try to act with empathy and altruism and see what outcomes arise in your life. If you begin to sense that positive situations multiply or that challenges become opportunities for growth, you may catch a practical glimpse of this concept. Theosophy does not invite naive acceptance of doctrines, but rigorous investigation, using both reason and sensitivity, seeking to build bridges among science, philosophy, and mysticism. The key that Blavatsky suggests is not locked away in a secret Tibetan temple or in the depths of ancient libraries. It actually lies within each one of us, waiting for us to decide to seek it out. And once we find that key, we discover not only the deepest mysteries of the universe, but also the unexplored treasures of our own inner nature. Thank you, and until next time.